A couple named Alex and Abigail are intimately talking about their plans for the future. Abigail, who is planning to run as prime minister, is slowly doubting her decision, afraid that it may affect their daughter, Sylvie. But her husband, Alex, reassures her she can do it. With that, she pushes through with the election and wins as prime minister. After that, she and her family move to Downing Street. 8 months after her win, Abigail is already facing questions as she redirects the military funds to prioritize the national health system. However, despite her efforts, medical services are still running scarce in the country, which makes the opposition hammer her for failing both the NHS and national security. Days pass and her husband goes to French Guiana along with a medical team. But just as they are warmly accepted by the villagers, a group of armed men suddenly attacks them and seizes the doctors. Everything is captured through a camera. In London, Abigail prepares for the Anglo Summit where she is set to meet French President Vivienne. Abigail requests help for the refugees, but Vivienne refuses. Instead, she wants to station French troops on British soil, which Abigail does not agree to, so tension begins simmering between the two. Soon after, Kofi, Abigail's political advisor, informs her of what happened to her husband, though she insists it must remain a secret, as her political enemies might use the information to exploit her. Only MI6, the UK's foreign intelligence agency, is informed about it, along with some of their closest allies. However, Sylvie nearly makes matters worse when she sneaks home from a party. She almost stumbles upon the kidnapper's video, but Abigail manages to snatch the phone away before she can see it. Upon investigation, MI6 reveals that the kidnappers want Abigail to resign within 24 hours in exchange for her husband's freedom. Despite the threats she is facing, Abigail holds it together and faces the press with Vivienne. While Abigail takes the opportunity to apologize for her past remarks, Vivienne announces that Britain will take in French refugees. This boosts only her image while undermining Abigail's political reputation. That evening, Abigail and Vivienne bond briefly to talk about their roles as leaders. But Vivienne's stepson, Matteo, who is a huge protester, suddenly barges in and clashes with her. He insists that she is selling out her ideals. Then, he introduces his new girlfriend, Saskia, whom Vivienne strongly dislikes. Not long after, MI6 finally tracks down the kidnappers and plans to save the hostages. The French soldiers, led by Thomas, prepare a rescue operation. But just when they are about to begin, Vivienne receives a blackmailing email, saying her secret affair will be exposed if they push through with the mission. In a panic, Vivienne calls the soldiers to halt the mission. Abigail is enraged because of this, but Vivienne doesn't care, insisting Abigail should just resign if she wants Alex back. In French Guiana, Thomas, who is keeping an eye on the kidnappers while waiting for further instructions, is shot and taken another hostage. Seeing this, Alex and the other medical staff rush over to tend to his wounds despite the lingering danger. Meanwhile, Abigail keeps trying to reach Vivienne, but Vivienne ignores her calls. Instead, Vivienne finds Matteo to confide in him about the blackmail, fearing it will compromise her campaign. While Matteo warns her of her husband's control, he promises to track the source of the video. Later that day, Matteo confronts Saskia, admitting he is having an affair with Vivienne, who is also her stepmother. Still unable to reach Vivienne, Abigail decides to push forward without her consent. She approaches the chief of defense to discuss a rescue plan, but they too cannot act without Vivienne's approval. At the same time, Kofi informs her that Thomas may already be captured or even killed. With this, he urges her to bring it to the cabinet, but Abigail refuses to appear weak. During the meeting, she falsely claims that her talks with Vivienne are progressing well. Soon, Sylvie learns about the kidnappers' demands. She confronts her mother about it, furious that she kept such a thing hidden from her. She blames her for everything and warns that she will never forgive her if anything happens to Alex. As the kidnappers' deadline approaches, Abigail and Vivienne meet at an electric vehicle exhibit. No matter how Abigail pleads for Vivienne to cooperate, Vivienne stubbornly refuses. Matteo, who is present as well, grows frustrated by Vivienne's political games. Worse, he still cannot track the source of the videos. Meanwhile, in the UK, the situation grows more intense. In a room, the hostages are gathered as a live video begins, for Abigail and the kidnappers to negotiate. During the exchange, Alex tries to hint that the kidnappers are British, but they see through his words and kill one of the doctors as punishment. Sylvie, who happens to walk into the room at that moment, witnesses the horror. Soon, the fallout deepens. Kofi resigns after Abigail ignores his advice, Sylvie turns against Abigail, and the press prepares to expose the kidnapping. Surrounded by chaos, Abigail calls for a press conference, but instead of resigning, she declares that she will not give in to the terrorists' demands. She even exposes that Vivienne is also being blackmailed. Then, suddenly, Vivienne's chief of staff receives a call from the kidnappers. While they admit that they have underestimated Abigail, they also warn them that they are coming to the UK. After the press conference, the media instantly buzzes. The opposing political party accuses Abigail of sacrificing her husband and abandoning the health crisis for her own political agenda. To put her in a bad light, they highlight the case of Ataf, a boy who died from a lack of asthma medicine. Yet, despite all these, Abigail remains firm and refuses to resign. Meanwhile, Vivienne finally confesses to her husband about her affair with his son, Matteo. Though shocked, her husband prioritizes saving her career for now. At home, Abigail finds her daughter locked in the bathroom. Sylvie admits that she is the one who leaked news of the kidnapping to the media, but still blames her mother, accusing her of prioritizing politics over family. All the while, Alex and the other hostages are slowly losing hope, but Thomas urges them to start planning an escape. Later that night, Vivienne meets Abigail and proposes to help her get Alex back. But in exchange, she wants her to lead the investigation into finding the mole who is leaking information from inside the British or French government. Abigail agrees, and they immediately authorize a surprise rescue mission. But Adrienne, Vivienne's chief of staff, tips off the kidnappers about the plan through a secret phone call in the bathroom. Luckily, Kofi overhears this and has her arrested. In French Guiana, the hostages follow Thomas's advice and attempt their escape. Alex kills a kidnapper in self-defense before French troops arrive just in time to rescue them. Abigail is overjoyed because of this, allowing Sylvie to finally speak with her father. But just when things seem to improve, another tragedy strikes London. During Ataf's funeral, a kidnapper disguised as a police officer causes chaos, framing it as if Abigail is responsible. At church, Vivienne attends with her husband, who wants to use her affair scandal to present himself as her redeemer. Vivienne resists, threatening to reveal his own secrets if he tries to exploit her. Soon after, she announces Alex's rescue to the press. Not long after, Abigail receives a phone call from the kidnappers, warning her that the war is far from over. Later that day, Saskia assassinates Abigail's father, who is in the hospital. The media once again attacks Abigail, accusing her of focusing too much on her husband's safety while abandoning the country. Public anger deepens when the Home Secretary is attacked on his way home. Grieving her father's death, Abigail visits the morgue but secretly suspects foul play. Sylvie helps her clean up at the hospital, but their fractured relationship remains unresolved. The next day, Abigail faces the cabinet, but they only urge her to resign. They suggest another candidate, Dan, to take over, even offering Abigail a role to support him. Yet, no matter their words, Abigail refuses to step down. Meanwhile, Vivienne wakes up to find her scandal with Matteo exploding in the media. Hounded by reporters, Matteo barely escapes his house with Saskia's laptop in hand, fearing it contains sensitive information. Unbeknownst to him, a kidnapper follows him close behind. At the same time, Vivienne clashes with her husband, who tries to exploit the scandal for his own advantage. Determined to free herself, Vivienne decides to file for divorce and turns her focus toward investigating Adrienne's betrayal. Vivienne interrogates Adrienne at the embassy, but Saskia is ordered to silence Adrienne for good. She plans to hit her, but the attempt fails, though Adrienne is gravely wounded. Rushed toward Vivienne's car, Adrienne whispers one name before collapsing: Shagan. Soon after, Vivienne and Abigail meet and finally agree to form a united alliance. Vivienne promises to start fresh and support Abigail, but it comes too late as Abigail is already losing the cabinet's confidence and their votes. Later, Matteo uncovers evidence on Saskia's laptop. He calls Abigail and Vivienne to review it together. There, they find out that Saskia is actually a discharged corporal, and Abigail's father was murdered, not taken by illness. What they don't realize is that the kidnapper is monitoring the laptop's feed. Seeing them gathered, he detonates a bomb hidden inside the device. The explosion tears through the building. Vivienne throws herself over Matteo, saving his life but sacrificing her own. Abigail is badly injured, but Alex rushes in and helps her regain consciousness as soldiers storm the scene to secure the area. Matteo is left in shock, staring at his stepmother's lifeless body. A few years earlier, on Sylvie's birthday, Abigail was still a minister when she suddenly received an urgent call from her office. She is informed that the Guatemalan army has invaded Belize, where British forces are stationed. With little time to act, Abigail makes a crucial decision to evacuate only the soldiers and the few locals already on the transport planes. The choice secures British lives, but abandons the Belizean civilians who risk their lives to help. Unbeknownst to her, this act will be the cause of Shagan's vendetta. In the present, Matteo hides with Sylvie's family in the bunker after the bombing. Outside, Saskia and Shagan believe they have succeeded until General Livingstone, the top military commander, calls in fury. Scolding Shagan for acting impulsively without permission, he demands that he flee the country at once. Shagan refuses. Instead, he orders Saskia to hunt down Abigail and ensure her death. As chaos grips the nation, Dan declares himself interim prime minister. deploying troops and enforcing order, while Livingstone imposes a media blackout. Still refusing to surrender, Abigail calls Kofi, and together they uncover the truth that Livingstone is actually the mastermind behind the coup. With help from an insider, Abigail infiltrates their base. Livingstone slips under interrogation, and Dan orders his arrest. But Abigail's triumph is short-lived. Shagan soon tracks down her family and reveals his true motive. As it turned out, his wife and unborn child were among the civilians abandoned in Belize, left behind to die in the Guatemalan attack. Consumed by vengeance, he blames Abigail. While Saskia stands guard, Alex appeals to Shagan's humanity, and Mateo persuades Saskia to walk away. Abigail soon arrives, but Shagan taunts her further, confessing he also ordered her father's death. Hearing everything, Sylvie snaps. With a gun in hand, she shoots Shagan dead. Just in time, the police storms in, rescuing the family, but arresting Sylvie for pulling the trigger. 3 months later, Abigail reflects on the devastation. Inspired by Vivienne's words about truth, she calls for a general election. Ready to begin anew, she faces the press once more, but this time, she pushes for a future hardened by loss and strengthened by survival.